So she says, okay. So she takes the sheet back and is shocked, like, what happened? So she says, well, Hashem came to us and told us, here are our children. Here's my children. I want you to take care of them in this world. Then Hashem came to us before Shabbos and said, you've done a wonderful job with them. Now it's time for me to take them back. And that's what Hashem did. He took our son back. And I couldn't hold it back. Even you said that I was supposed to give her son back to Hashem. And my point is that many of us were shaken up and we didn't understand it. I'm still confused. I know sometimes I'm sitting on the couch and I'm reviewing something and my mind keeps wandering and the door opening and I think, oh great, Daddy's home, I can ask him to tell me. And then I look and I just see my brothers come home and then I'm like, where's Daddy? Where did he go? Then I remember that he's not going to come in the door because he can't. And sometimes that's very hard because you're so used to him being there and being so much a part of your life, then to have him just leave so suddenly, it's just crazy. And I remember Wednesday morning, I don't know how many of you know the story of what happened, but I was there. I was the one who was told to go wake him up. And I went into the bedroom and I saw my mother and my father both still asleep. So I went to my mother and said, why is Daddy still asleep? Like, I woke up, I looked at my watch, it says 6:50. Now this was very unusual because normally my father wakes up at like 5 o'clock and he goes to shul, and around 6:30 he calls my mother to wake me up so I can be down in the car by 7 o'clock. So I thought that it was very strange that it was already 6:50 and he hadn't called yet. And I went into the room and I saw they were both still asleep. And I just figured, okay, maybe he like overslept. This really ever happened, but no, maybe he was very tired. So I went to my mother and said, why is Daddy still asleep? He should be up by now. So she said, okay, go wake him up. So I was like, Daddy, it's time to wake up. He didn't move. So I said, Mommy's not waking up. Try again. Okay, Daddy, wake up. We need to go to school. I don't want to be late. Nothing. So finally my mother gets out of bed and shook him really hard. Sorry. And I got very scared. And as it happens sometimes, when you see something very scary, you can't really do anything. You're just standing there basically watching. And I remember standing at the door of my parents' bedroom. I didn't know what to do. I was just standing there watching my mother run in and out of the bedroom. And she went to our neighbors. They wouldn't answer the door. So she went upstairs. And they called Hatzalah for us. And I remember the Hatzalah called us and they asked for the address. And if it would have been a normal circumstance, I just would have given them the address and told them to hurry. But here I could not even remember our address. I just told them, hold on, let me go get my mother. So I ran across the hallway, ran up the steps, ran across the other hallway to get my mother, and they kept saying, what's your address? And I just said, just hold on. And I couldn't stay in the house. I needed to get away. So I went to the Martins, and I stayed there a little bit. Very helpful. And I remember I was standing there, and I was telling him, I was like, please, Hashem, don't take Daddy away. We can't. We need him. Like, I just couldn't imagine what it would be like without him. It would just be crazy. And I thought, we're being so silly. What do you think is going to happen? We're going to be crying, worrying, and then he's going to walk out of the bedroom and ask why we're all crying. This is crazy. This is not happening. He's probably overslept or something. And then I went downstairs because they were taking me out of bed, and I could not be there. And I was sitting on the floor playing with Legos, and I remember thinking, I know what's going to happen. I'm going to go upstairs, he's going to be there, sitting there, and I'm going to be very confused, and everybody's just going to say, oh, well, he woke up. I went upstairs, and nothing had changed. And I had always read books about things like this happening, and I always felt very bad for these people, but I never thought it would happen to me. I always felt like my life was perfect, I had everything I need, mother, father, siblings. That's it. That's all we really need. And just by this sudden shock shows how much we take everything for granted. Simple things like breathing. We don't even think about breathing. In fact, instead of thanking Hashem for everything, we often complain. Why don't I have this? Why don't I have that? Why don't I have this? Why don't I have that? Instead of thanking Hashem for breathing and being able to talk and being able to eat and being able to do all these things, we're complaining. Why don't we get to do more and more and more and more? And it showed me that sometimes you don't always get what you want. Sometimes you just need to be thankful for what you have instead of always wanting more. Remember one time my father never wanted to make anybody worry. One time, and so my mother had gone shopping in Trader Joe's, and she asked my father to pick up some things. This often happened. And as my father was driving, he was talking on the phone to my mother. And a cop pulled him over and said, "Is there a reason that you're talking on the phone? Is this an emergency?" And he said, "No." And the cop gave him a ticket. No, I didn't tell you this. And when we got home, I didn't want to worry you. I didn't want Daddy to get in trouble. My mother, Shlomo? Staging, Shlomo. Hurry up. The throat's getting very dry. And when we got home, my mother asked for her groceries, and my father gave them to her. And as she was unpacking them, my father and I were in the dining room. And my father said, "Thank you for not telling her." And I said, "Yeah, I didn't think you would want her to know." So I knew that sometimes it's better to be quiet than just to say anything. So I don't know what happened to that bill. I guess he paid it and that's it. But I guess he didn't want my mom to worry, or he didn't want to get in trouble, one of those reasons. But it's just I've been thinking, wow, I only knew my father for 12 years of my life. For 12 years, and yet in those 12 years, in such a short time, I learned so much about him. And just by going to his school, I would wait for him every day to get out of school, and I just learned so much about how everybody loved him. Like, I would walk past the office, and everybody would be like, "Oh, Rabbi Rosen, how are you?" And as we were going to the car, students would be yelling out the bus window, "Rabbi Rosen, yo, Rabbi!" And they would be standing near the window in the back, and they would be banging on the window. And my father very calmly, he just went like this to them. And I was always so proud to walk with him. And I said, "Wow, Daddy, everybody knows you." And he said, "Yeah." And he really he became part of that school, and now everybody that sees me, even a student, said, "You're Rabbi Rosen's daughter, right?" And people would always come up to him when we were walking together, and he would say, "Who is that? Who is that?" My father would say, "That's my daughter." And I always noticed that he would be so proud of it, and I was very lucky to have a father like that who was very involved in the school. And I noticed that even from that year that I was able to be there, that everybody really loved him so much. And it was just amazing how much, I just still can't believe it, that only in 12 years I learned so much about him. And something else I was going to say. Okay, I get the point. I just like to thank everybody in our neighborhood for being so wonderful. I really thank you too, don't forget. And for setting this up. And even after Wednesday morning, everybody sending food up. And I know that I definitely wasn't able to think straight, and I don't think anybody else was. So it's very grateful that you sent the food and you were there supporting us, and we were very lucky to live in such a wonderful neighborhood and to have such a wonderful family. Now, I know he's about to kill me because I'm taking too long, so I had to turn this off. Yes. Bye-bye.
We'll make a minyan from my room on this side of the room, and everyone's invited to make brachos. Le'ilui nishma Shmuel Tzvi ben Aruchai.
Don't forget to leave down my word.
Yeah.
Just